hope so. You don't have to remember everything, but just, we have questions. If you want, I can ask
I'm
questions.
going to start him out with the old pictures so he remembers.
Sure.
So those, I brought those along for them to look at.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's similar Chevy. That's it. That's the monster.
And then there's the whole picture of the house, so you can kind of relate where things were.
That big room in here. That was always something to heat up.
Oh, okay.
By the way, there wasn't any heat in the house to speak of. When we moved out, this whole house was heated with a pot-belly stove and no furnace and no toilet.
No toilet. Well, plumbing wasn't common until probably the 30s and 40s, wasn't it?
That's about it when I started going to high school.
Did they put plumbing in the house when you were in high school?
Yeah. There was... I don't know just how long ago that was, but I started going to high school in 19. I graduated in 1936, so I must have gone into high school when I was about 1932.
Great Depression era.
Yeah. But there were interesting years in the beginning. First of all, I couldn't realize why they built that house as big, as spacious as it was. They didn't have a big herd of cattle. I mean, the people that were in it before. The barn was across the street,
Okay.
and so was the windmill. That was the only supply of water on the farm. The cattle didn't have any running water. We had to. Now I'm only about 2 or 3 years old, and I still remember the folks had to break the ice on the tank outside the barn so the cattle could get a drink of water. And there were not that many cattle either.
Wow.
And my brother was about 2 years younger than I.
Was he born in the house then?
No, we were not born here. We were born in the city of Mayville. My father was a telegraph operator at the depot in Mayville. Can you imagine a man with that surroundings coming out on a farm, and he didn't even know how to milk a cow? He didn't.
So he moved to a farm
Yeah,
without having any idea how to milk a cow.
yes. My mother, I think, had to milk most of the cows. She was born and raised in a farm.
Now, why would they move to a farm without him having the experience? That seems a little backwards to me for the era, I guess.
Why did he move out? I don't know. It was quite an experience. We had to get the water up from across the road to make coffee or make a meal or anything like that. And the windmill was a brand new one, but that's the way it was for about 2 years.
So did you haul pails?
Huh?
Did you have pails of water that you would have to haul from the windmill to the house?
Yes. To make the meals.
Now where would the outhouse have been? So if there was no running water, you had water across the way to drink, I assume, cook.
The outhouse was the water. I mean, the outhouse was on the northeast corner of that house.
Northeast corner, where the driveway would be today. Okay.
And I imagine that's probably where you enter the house with a car now or something. I haven't been in there for some time.
There's a large septic, old septic, down below on the northeast corner now.
Oh, there's a septic in there?
An old one. We're not using it anymore. That's an oldie. So I'm guessing it's pretty close to where your outhouse had been originally.
Do they still have the old cistern in the house?
We found that old cistern by accident. So it was kind of interesting. My husband saw some planks on the floor. Just a minute, please. Can great grandma take you, please? Okay.
Can we take you, Charlie? Go on, go get your monkey.
Go potty, get your monkey.
Go get the monkey.
So he found some boards that were a little different in the kitchen after he had removed the modern linoleum. And he pulled that up, and there was a huge cavernous hole underneath that we had no idea existed prior.
Yeah, that wasn't, that, I think that my dad had that installed from past time.
Okay.
That was the only water that we had in the house until we moved the cattle about 2 years later, something like that.
Now you wouldn't have drank the cistern water.
Oh my goodness, no.
Okay, that would have been for wash and other.
And to bathe, we had an old tin tub that we dragged out, and my brother and I got our wash in the kitchen.
In the front of the house.
In the front of the house.
How often did you get that tub time?
Pardon?
How often did you get a bath time?
Well, when we needed it.
Okay. Okay. Okay, I would think with little boys that would be quite often, but maybe back in the day that was...
The only way we had hot water in there was when there was a big old-fashioned stove in the kitchen.
Okay.
And there was a hot water container on the end of that thing.
Okay.
It didn't hold an awful lot of water, but that was the only hot water we had to pour in that tank for a bath.
Wow. And I assume you shared that hot water with your sibling,
Yeah.
father and mother.
I can't imagine why the people that built that house built it that big.
Do you know why they, do you know what they had intended the home to be?
I think it was to take care of some help. At the time we moved out there, the farmers around there were raising crops like apples. We had a 2-acre variety of apple trees, and some of the neighbors had strawberry patches, and how they managed to get that to Milwaukee or somewhere, I don't know. the railroad was in Mayville, and but to haul that down with a railroad car, I don't know. I was too young to pay attention to that stage.
So you think that the house had help living there, aside from just, it was Alfred Wheeler, am I correct, that built the home? Does that sound
I
correct?
don't know the first name, but it was the Wheeler family.
Wheeler family, and
Yeah, it was, I think it was a Clark family first that owned it, and the Wheelers bought it.
we found this map on the internet, just stumbled upon it, and this is the property here, and it says A. Wheeler on there, and that would be the house, that little dot there.
Oh, yeah.
Kellie,
Just look at the Rock River.
Yeah.
I'm skipping around quite a bit, but in order to milk the cows, which we pastured on this land here, that's about where it was cut off. That wasn't even a graveled road. That was even just a dirt road at that time yet.
Wool Road was. This one here, is this, cause,
This one here.
oh, that's a road there.
Yeah, your house is still on the land, but it's very close to the end there. So in order to get the cattle that were pastured over along the river, we had to come from the house, go all the way around there, and then drive them up and come back. Now that was a pretty good hike those days.
Yeah. Wow. And did you have horses or anything?
Yeah, we had, I think there was a team of horses on the farm.
Okay.
And I never really did count the number of cattle, but there weren't no more than 15 head
Okay.
of cattle.
Yeah, that's very small.
And they were, where is this, you know?
So there's Wheeler here, and then there's another piece of Wheeler's land below that, yeah.
Yeah, well, that wasn't it. But we had the land over here
Okay.
too. And that barn was not fit for cattle. Now, in the winter time, it was just a wooden barn slapped together, and as I remember, there was for insulation. So it was just black paper nailed on the door, on the outside of it.
Black tar paper, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
On the barn.
yeah. So they were not in a very pleasant place, and it wasn't an ideal spot to milk cows in the dead of winter.
But you have to milk them every day.
Twice a day.
Twice a day, morning and night, right?
Yeah.
Ask him about planting all those potatoes and storing them.
Okay. Did you have, she's saying you had potatoes.
Huh?
And potatoes? You had to plant potatoes and store them?
Oh, yes. Dad got the idea because some of the neighbors were planting potatoes, so he planted several acres of corn, of potatoes. And now this was jumping several years from where I was. But the acres, we had about 5 or 6 acres of potatoes. And what did we do with them? Well, there's only one decent place to do it, and that was to store them in the cellar of the house. And Dad at that time understood something more about horses and stuff, so he bought another horse and put a potato digger to work on there. I'm going to wreck that paper. That I don't know how to describe the basement. Do you know the furnace down there in the basement?
The original furnace would have been on the western portion of the building, southwest portion of the building. Does that sound?
No, it would have been
Southeast,
in about in the center of the building.
Yeah, was there a coal bin? You remember the coal bin down there?
Yeah.
Okay.
There was a coal bin.
I remember where the coal bin was.
That's the first thing they took out.
Okay, there's a hole in what's our dining room floor, so it's hard to refer to the house. But
That's where they must have set another
we
furnace in.
we can see where they cut the maple flooring out
Oh.
and would have lowered the furnace down. So I have a feeling it's probably about there.
Yeah. Well, now we're skipping to the years when I was going to high school, so I didn't get too involved with the potatoes.
I remember you
But-
said you had to get them all in that basement though.
We stored the potatoes in that.
Does that picture help?
Yeah. Okay. That we pushed them in through these windows in the cellar,
Okay.
and we had those potatoes stored up to the ceiling.
Are you kidding me?
No,
That's a tall ceiling.
my brother
That's
and
like
I
9 feet.
had to go down there and
Wow.
move those potatoes away from there so that we could get them down there. We couldn't move those potatoes to the market that quickly. But those,
Did you get tired of eating potatoes? Just asking. I think I would have.
we're lucky we had a good cook. My mother knew how to. She was raised in a farm, but she knew how to milk cows, and she knew how to bake cakes. She knew how to fry eggs and take care of chickens.
She had a lot of chickens for a while.
We had a to the west of the house. There was a chicken barn.
Yeah, where's
I
that
think
picture
we
you
had
had
about
with that
100
little
layers
building.
in there.
Wow.
Here, is that it? There's a little building on the side there. It's hard to tell on there what that little building is.
Oh my, oh my. That was the chicken barn,
Okay.
part of it. That was a storage shed right there. But that chicken barn was over here. And the grain barn, the granary was way over here.
Okay.
Why they had that there, I don't know. Somebody was thinking ahead, and they didn't want to make the change.
Okay. So you had 100 chickens,
Yes, at least 100 chickens.
15 cows, about.
How many?
You said 15 head of cowish.
Oh,
Is that about right?
About 15 cows, is that what you had?
100 chickens.
Yeah, well, at the time, my dad had built a new barn, which you haven't even seen yet. That was down here below the hill, and it was a nice barn.
Okay.
I think
Yeah,
we
what do
could
you
milk,
call that? It was the
if we wanted to, we could
that
milk
kind of
some
roof.
36 head of cattle.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. We had two big silos, two 40-foot silos where we stored the silage in.
Big
Where were those
cement.
at? Where were the silos at?
The driveway comes in,
Yeah.
there was a regular old-fashioned big old barn, and
Uh-huh.
silos were out in front, close at the road edge of the barn, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
There's actually a video on 8mm tape somewhere that
Of them
my guess-
going
of them
down.
going down. So we would watch them go up when it exploded.
Uh-huh.
We'd watch it and then
Run it
watch it
backwards.
backwards. So I don't know what else is on that video, but they'd show, Mike would have that
Mike
video.
would have it, or Mike or Jim would.
You've got a pretty nice machine
We didn't
shed
care about going
there.
down and just watch them.
I know,
Yeah.
it's kind of neat.
It was built after I
Yeah.
moved away from the
Then
farm.
they had put in harvest stores.
That's way off
on
to
those
the,
new towns.
that's off to the side.
Those were.
So here's our new basement stairs and the original. And the one question I had about the basement that I was very curious about, all along the basement foundation wall are these square holes cut into the wall. And they had little doors on them,
Yeah,
but we weren't sure what those would have been used for back in the day. Do you remember if they had a purpose?
I don't know, my mother used them, to store the fruit that she canned in the summertime.
Okay. Did it keep it cool? Was that the intention?
Yeah, that it was cool.
Yeah.
Is that where you
But
stored
look
the
at
wine?
look at the height of that cistern.
Isn't that
And
incredible?
Just imagine having to
Fill that with potatoes?
those potatoes.
That's incredible. That's why I was, and I'm sure you had a dirt floor, not a concrete floor in that basement.
By Kellie, we had concrete floor there. That's underneath the main part of the house. The north half was, that was a dirt floor. And did you know that there was a spring underneath that house?
You know, I would have guessed because of all the water we have in that basement. That's incredible. Okay. I didn't know that. However, we just have the worst trouble with water in that basement.
That would help.
I finally, when we put in the system,
I think that cistern filled up. By
water
itself
system in the
naturally.
house,
Oh, it probably
I had the
did.
job to dig the septic tank, and that was
Place you can't keep dry as
that was
Must be a spring down
Here,
here.
wasn't it?
in the back of.
it's,
No, that was on the side.
it's low.
That was on the
Stays
right on
full.
the side, just before the steps.
So Loyal, you dug that septic tank
The
in?
house is probably
Yeah,
So,
pretty high.
I dug the tank out.
I mean, it's not a big
And when I
problem.
got down quite far, I
We tried to
discovered
get crazy in the beginning.
there was
They're always being
Here's
built.
the cistern.
a little trench,
Look at that.
and it was lined with
It's like under the
flat
floor like
stone.
this.
And there was water running underneath that. And I looked at it and I thought, my gosh, where did that water go?
My husband is gonna love this.
But just think that that depth of ground, there was
think that was the only time
but
it was dry.
that spring went across the driveway, past the barn, and it drained out into the ditch a ways away. I noticed,
the basement floors.
I noticed that several times, but I couldn't figure out where it was coming from, but I found it.
Yes, that's
The
incredible.
newer cistern
Wow.
is now as far as furnaces.
We will be battling water in that basement, I think, for the rest of our time there, because it is very, very wet down there.
Yeah,
He's gonna use the loose, the oldest.
we had.
Just put a floor in it, keep it.
How much of the land did you buy? Did you buy the whole land?
Only 2 acres, and the sad story with that is actually the city of Mayville has limited how much acreage we could purchase. They told the Litkeys that they could only sell us 2-acre parcels because they want to expand Mayville towards the Wool Road home.
Really?
Correct. So, Williamstown came back with a Land Preservation Act saying that you could only sell 2-acre parcels every 15 years or so. So we're kind of at a gridlock. Someday we might try to fight the municipalities and see if we can get more land. But right now, the government is sort of meddling in the business of the Litkeys.
Boy, that just
You know
doesn't
how
sound.
much my dad paid for the farm?
Because they want the
It was $160 an acre.
That's why
Yeah.
Jack, $160 his dad paid for the farm.
160, thank you.
Per acre. That was house included?
The house was included with that, but the barn too.
Yeah.
What was it?
That wooden barn,
The wooden barn.
rickety thing.
Yeah, they had a small silo over there, but that was torn down before very long. It was a wooden silo on a concrete base.
Okay.
And I don't think you can even tell that was there.
No.
You don't even know that the windmill was across the road either.
No.
That was a hole in the, man dug a hole 40 feet down into the
40 foot down, the well was 40 foot down, man dug hole.
yeah.
Taste.
Wow.
Come on, Charlie, let's go by again and go see if we can find some more toys.
Can you go find some toys, Bob?
Come on, let's go find a toy box.
Have a snack.
Oh, see, thank you, great grandma. She's got
surprised
all the
people
treats.
Through that.
Hold my finger.
Come on, check
He
it out.
said, was that the well you went down in, you said, where that big rock stuck out?
Well, you know, they dug down, but it's about 20 feet down, something like that. They discovered a huge rock.
Yeah.
Well, they couldn't take that out from all that ground on top. So they had enough room to get past that and put a pipe down. But every once in a while, Dad had to go down and shovel the sand out there. You know, that land is the well-drained, some of the best well-drained land in the town of Williamstown.
Is that because you're up on the hill?
Well, that's because the icebergs that were shoved down, shoved that land and deposited the sand, and then the dirt was on top. Now this happened years and years and years ago, but
So it's good water for drinking.
yeah, it was. It was good water for
I think he
drinking.
misses that here.
Do you miss that?
The
Yeah.
good water.
Yeah.
When Dad built that barn, and that was to the east of the house, you can't even tell there was a barn there now.
No. It's gone.
It burned down.
Dad, I was telling her the name of the fruit tree farm. That was the Fruit Valley, right? Is
Yeah.
that right?
Fruit Valley.
Was that a part of your farm?
No, but it was a part of my farm now. I never thought that I was going to own that land there. There was a little country school. We had about, at the most, 14 or 15 kids coming to that school.
But did the orchard, you had an orchard right on your land too, wasn't that wasn't part of the Fruit Valley farm orchard?
Oh, sure,
Oh.
that was.
Okay. On
No,
your
wait a
dad,
minute.
on your
No.
dad's land.
No, that wasn't part of the farm originally.
But just the school was.
Yeah,
Is that where you attended school?
yeah.
And that's on the corner of Greenhead and TW, like up from our two houses. There's a pit there yet from the schoolhouse, and there's a big black walnut tree there. That's right where the school was.
Okay.
So he's one of the guys who walked with hot potatoes in his pockets up snowbanks both ways.
Both ways to get to
Yeah.
school. You're
Yeah.
the guy.
That's the guy. Tell her the story about the rooster and the wine.
This is some years. I must have been about 16 or 17 years old at the time. My brother and I were walking up to there was a shed over here. And the grain binder was parked in the shed, and it was time to cut the grain. And we had three horse team.
Okay.
And my dad was used to cutting it with the grain binder and those horses, and they weren't always behaving very well, so he'd get excited. And he was having nightmares at night.
Your dad was.
Yeah. The last time he was standing up in bed and yelling at the horses. Well, anyway.
He was standing in his bed yelling at the horses because
Yeah.
of these dreams?
Yeah.
Oh my. Okay.
By that time, we were sort of living I think where the kitchen is now, upstairs there.
Okay. There's no longer a kitchen there anymore. So it would have been up here.
Yeah, that's,
Okay.
there would, I don't know if that was added on, but that was a farm, that was the house the way they bought it.
Now, did you share a bedroom? One big bedroom?
No, there were 3 rooms up there,
Okay.
and I had one room, and my brother had the other room, which was on the corner of the house. But anyway, we were walking up to my folks had gone away, but they had opened up the shed door and sort of pulled the outfit out, and we were supposed to grease it up. And Vic and I, and my brother, we were walking down the line past the chicken barn, and all the ones, the rooster came out of the flock. They had to run to the farm, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they attacked my brother. And he grabbed it, and I said, well, how often does this happen? Oh, every once in a while. Well, I said, let's give him a lesson. I said, I'll hold the rooster and you go and get some wine that my mother was well, she had put it in
Crocs,
big jars,
the big Crocs.
crocks behind the stove. That was a good place to keep it warm all the time. And it had been there for a while. I said, you just get a tablespoon and a saucer, and you put some of that wine in there. So he did. He came out and we gave the rooster a good drink.
Okay.
And do you know the whole flock of chickens were watching us?
Okay. Wow.
Well, by the time we set that rooster down, he was cocked. He let out the strangest noise. And the whole flock of chickens came up. They didn't do anything.
You were just stumbling.
He falls under his chair every time he talks.
I love this story.
That's wonderful. That's awesome.
But this was the time of the year when there were some clucks out there with the little chickens.
Yeah.
And I noticed she had a flock of chickens. And when she heard the roosters clucking, she gathered the whole bunch underneath her.
That's so wonderful. Wow.
Oh, that's a great story.
So if I want to get chickens someday, and I happen to have a rooster and it's misbehaving, then I just need to give it a little wine.
Dandelion wine.
Okay.
Was it dandelion wine?
What?
Was it dandelion wine? Or was it?
Yes, I think it was even dandelion wine. Because the apples were great yet for making cider. But she made some very good dandelion wine.
Do you remember what was upstairs in the big part of the house? Was it empty?
It was, you might say, empty.
One big room?
It was one big wooden floor up there. And we